We've had a few fish attack this color combination of black and silver and seafoam blue. Pretty flashy, so I'm not sure if it's going to be a type of fly that's going to work in all conditions. But it's been showing some promise so far this year, so I'm going to run this a little bit, run it through these conditions. Alright, it's time to do another fishing report, and I know it's getting pretty due here. Trying to get the light right. Alright, fishing report attempt, whatever, for report 7. Well, folks, a lot has changed from the last fishing report, from this one to the last one. First, you won't see a lot of fish jumping in the background, and we have a lot more water, and it's a bit colder. But first off, let me get a couple announcements out of the way. One, Albert's done some work on the website. We got the blog going, and we got a couple of blogs up in there, new blogs up in there you may want to take a look at. A lot of us talking about dealing with and working with sink tips, so that's up. The other thing is we're starting to put a used fishing gear segment in there, so some of our gear, when we get worn out, we can, if you're interested in it, you can probably go there and find a deal. So that's kind of going on. Also, as always, we're still taking names for the and email addresses for the upcoming spay casting clinic we run the end of every August. So that's what's going on. Get a little bit more. Well, now for the fishing. So what's been going on? A lot. In the last 36 hours, actually, since Friday, so it'll be Friday, Saturday, Sunday, probably over the Columbus Day weekend, we've had about 5 3/4 inches of rain, and it's still, if you look at the background, a little bit sketchy with weather. We've had some showers today. I'm a little bit wet. My guys up there, they're a bit wet. So what's been happening with the fishing? Well, with all that rain, the rivers come up, and when it came up, a lot of the fish that were down here on the DSR lower river had moved up. We also had a big surge of fish come through in all that high water. You won't really notice it, but if you really don't notice it, because in the high water those fish move really fast. They're not too obvious. So, but we had a pretty good run of salmon come through. The other thing is we're starting to see a fair amount of steelhead. Even today we hooked a steelhead. We even landed a brown trout today, intermixed with some salmon. There's still some old salmon, some real zombies now because the spawning's been going on for a while. And there's some fresher fish still coming in. So there's still a lot of salmon coming in. Even with after this high water push, we've had a fair amount of salmon coming in. So the DSR still got it's not as infested with salmon as it was. Part of them has spawned and died. Some of them just moved on upriver with the high water. We're still getting new fish, so we actually got some quality fish down here. We got a nice mix of steelhead and browns, an odd brown trout I should say, and we're starting to see more and more steelhead every day, which is about on schedule for steelhead, and some nice ones this year. So I'm seeing some good sized one. A friend of mine got an Atlantic salmon today too, with them shooting us, so that's a few unicorns around. For water temperatures are back down into the low 50s, and more importantly, also water flows out of the dam right now. Geez, feel like I'm on a boat. Coming out of the dam is about 750. Down here in the bottom of the river, we're probably well over 1,000, probably 1,200. It is dropping a little bit because like Trout Brook and Orwell Brook are just barfing a huge amount of water, and that's settling down too. The debris, we had a lot of debris initially when the river comes up. That's clear, so the water's cleared, the debris is cleared out, so that's not a problem. Since we've had a lot of spawning, today we did very well with egg patterns. I mean, it was an egg bite, egg fly thing today. Egg sucking leeches, we actually did pretty good with the egg flies today. So the egg bite is really starting to get on, so it's more of an egg thing, especially with the browns and the steelheads. They're going to be keyed in on eggs. Some of the Chinooks are even picking up a lot of the egg patterns, but we're still using standard stuff. Our purple and fuchsia zonk are still getting bites. Egg sucking leeches are still getting bites. The big woolly buggers are still getting bites. Our really cool intruders are still working. So all that stuff is still very productive still. We've had to probably drop down to like a 10-pound tippet, definitely when we're fishing eggs, probably more of an 8, but when you got all this water down on the bottom end of the river, we need to stay with 10. Now, the rest of the river, upper river, let's say from Pineville up, is just loaded with salmon. Loaded with the guys, but loaded with salmon. If you could find a quiet spot, you're going to have fish. It's just that full. The fly zones are stuffed with fish. And they're all the way down through. Yeah, some of them are getting old now, but they're still, with this high water, it pushed up a lot of fresh fish up there. So you got some quality fish up on the top of the river too. And also, if you the water flows are not as bad up there. It's just a straight 750, especially when you get above Orwell Brook. There's no other real feeders in there with any large volume, so it's easy to fish up there. You know, like they said, down here we're probably dealing with 1200 CFS, maybe even as much as 15. Up there you're going to be dealing with probably Pineville this morning was like 900, so you definitely like upper fly zones. It's going to be like 750, be a lot easier to fish. And of course there's a lot of fish up there. It is busy, but there's also a lot of fish up there. Same bit of patterns. We just drop our fly size down, like a lot of size 6 woolly buggers and size 6 leeches, size 8 patterns are all working very well up there. So that's kind of what's going on up there with the flies. I haven't seen a lot of steelhead up there or heard of any steelhead getting up in there. I've been kind of hanging out down here. Ricky's been working up in the fly zones in the mid-river, and he hasn't really said much for steelhead yet, or even browns yet. So the trout are more down on the bottom end of the river. So that's kind of what's pretty much in a nutshell what's going on. I would suggest that if you're upriver, stay with the 10-pound tippets. When we're swinging down here and looking for Chinooks, we're still staying with the 12-pound because they are still very aggressive. They're still very angry, especially with this big water, trying to land a really upset salmon when 10-pound could be a challenge with all this water. But we still have to drop down to 8-pound drop down to 10-pound down here at least to get the drift right with the egg flies. So we're using size 8 egg flies. The colors: pinks in the egg flies, orange. We're using a lot of orange. If you get a really gray day, sometimes even chartreuse might get the job done. Egg sucking leeches, our heads are still the same colors: the orange, the pink, and the chartreuses. And of course, with a black body or a purple body. Pineville's got a lot of our flies and got a lot of those purple egg sucking leeches up there that I tied. Really good choice right now. Very excellent choice, because our purple and Cherise knockers are working really well too. So that's pretty much what's up. Can't think of anything else other than if you're looking for trout or the fish get a little crabby, go right to egg flies, because this river is definitely saturated with eggs. Even with this high water, it just really got the bottom stirred up and a lot of the eggs stirred up. There's fresh salmon all the way through this system. You may have to sort out some of the old fish through some of the new fish and stay away from the spawning gravel and get into the heads of the pools to find the newer fish, so you're not always getting into the zombies, because zombies are showing up. But other than that, everything is fishing right along. Obviously we don't have them jumping in the background this time because the waters, I think one is we got a lot of water, too. I think the fish are just jacking to the bottom of the river. They are just moving. So they're not hanging out too long in the bottom end of the DSR, and they're just piling up mid-upper river. So that's kind of what's going on. If you don't want to fish the DSR, definitely go to the mid-upper river or the upper river. It's the bottom of the river. Even some of the public accesses in the lower river are getting quiet, but there's plenty of fish down through here. But just keep in mind, the fish that are here are really actively, they got blinders on and they're just going forward in this higher water. I don't know how much longer this water is going to last. My feeling is another day or two and we'll be back down to 350. So if you're coming up, check on the water flows. But other than that, that's what's up. See you on the river, folks. One last thing, a lot of you that stopped and saw me and said hello, it's good to meet you. Thanks for saying hello and giving me and shouting out and saying you watched the video. I definitely like meeting everybody that watches and looks at the YouTube channel. As always, hit the subscribe button and the like button. I got a couple of fishing tip videos coming up. I'm hoping to get up here as soon as I can get it edited up and get them out. So see you on the river, folks, and good fishing. This is Jay at JPEG Guides and Lost River Fishing. We are a year-round fly fishing catch and release guide service. We fish the Lake Ontario tributaries, And then during the spring and the summer, we also fish the inland trout streams, classic dry fly fishing. During the heat of the summer, we will do the warm water fishing for bass and pike. If you're interested in any of our outings or have any questions, please feel free to email us at fish@lostriversfishing.com. Hope to hear from you, and if you have any questions, feel free to contact us.